A very good morning and welcome to Newsroom Live here on GH1 TV. My name is Lerato Charlotte Letsoso. Time now to have a look at our headlines. But before then, remember today is World Television Day. So happy World TV Day to the rest of Ghanaians watching. Electricity after fire ravaged a NETCO substation last night. Residents of Kasoa in the central region are apprehensive following several cases of murder recorded within the last few weeks there. Today we acknowledge the power of television with the marking of UN BAT's World TV Day. And on the international front, Zimbabwe's former vice president, whose sacking led to last week's army takeover, urges President Robert Mugabe to resign immediately. These and many more stories coming up on our bulletin. Stay tuned. Off with our top. And starting off with our top story this hour, the Tamale metropolis is still without electricity after fire gutted a substation of Ghana Grid Company. The blaze, which occurred at about 7 p.m. at the substation near the Chogu roundabout, damaged power cables and transformers before firefighters brought it under control.
According to eyewitnesses, the fire department could not immediately establish the cause of the flames. However, Northern Regional Communications Director of VRA NETCO, Maxwell Kotoka, said series of explosives occurred after a faulty feeder failed to respond. He added that the fire escalated in the control room and gutted all the 11 breakers, leaving thousands of residents and businesses in the regional capital without power. The situation brought out several residents to the accident scene who expressed anger and demanded a quick fix. Security forces were on the scene to prevent onlookers from getting inside the utility supply infrastructure. Nonetheless, some essential facilities like the Tamale Teaching Hospital, the airport and some regional public installations are currently with power.
The unexpected entry of the Deputy Communications Minister at a news conference organized by the Coalition of Democratic Governance to condemn the Ghana Post GPS momentarily changed its focus. Now, George Anda made timely rebuttals to several claims by the coalition that the addressing system is a sham. Joshua Ira was there for GH1 News.
Ghana on October 18, 2017, launched a national digital and property addressing system, otherwise known as the Ghana Post GPS, a modern approach believed to make tracking people and places easy using geocoding technology. The robust system works irrespective of changes in borders and environment. The move seeks to harmonize the Ghanaian economy and transform business operations. But the Coalition of Democratic Governance at a press conference Monday described the innovation as a sham and a means to mislead the entire citizenry. The principal speaker who led the crusade, Kingsley Morty, a GPS expert, noted that the purported system is nothing but a nuisance and unnecessary, as there are already existing Google 8 platforms to identify and also geographically locate places in Ghana.
It's a waste of space and time. So if you want to improve my life, you buy a mattress for me. You buy a bed sheet for me. Let me use in the bed. That will help me, give me some more comfort. What we have already is exactly what they've done. Indeed, it's actually worse than what they've done, because the one that is available to us, you can give it to anybody in any part of the world. The person can just put it into regular Google and can be able to find it.
A concerned member of the group, Samuel Jemfi, alleged that the government erred in engaging the services of Vocacom, a company that has failed to pay their annual taxes, which have accrued to 3 million cedis.
Our investigations about the company which is at the center of this whole issue, Vocacom, suggest that the company has not filed its financial annual returns with the Ghana Revenue Authority as provided by law, and that evidence available at the Ghana Revenue Authority suggests that the company owes the Republic of Ghana taxes to the tune of about 3 million Ghana cedis. Why government has turned a blind eye to this development baffles us.
Soon after Samuel Jemfi's presentation, the Deputy Minister of Communication, George Anda, gate-crashed the conference and took to the podium to rebut all allegations made by the group.
You spoke about a number of things. In the first place, you said that Vocacom haven't paid their taxes. It's an absolute lie. Okay? I have the tax clearance certificate for Vocacom on my phone, and your cameras can pick it up. This is the tax clearance certificate for Vocacom, issued in March 2017. So it's a total lie that you come and say that this company is not tax compliant.
The managing director of Ghana Post Company Limited, James Kofi, who accompanied the uninvited team, touted the system and said there was no replica of the system anywhere, contrary to some opinions in the public.
Google Maps gives you longitude and latitudes. There was some illustration that the gentleman did in the room. It gave you some numbers. It didn't give you your digital address with postcodes. That's the first one. As of now, most people I know have downloaded their digital address. Second, there's a back-end feature of it that allows a number of institutions to add value to their systems.
Electronic television was first successfully demonstrated on September 7th of 1927 in San Francisco. Now, the system was designed by a 21-year-old inventor by the name Philo Taylor Farnsworth. He had lived without electricity until he was 14. Now, today, TV has metamorphosed from a small box-like set to huge screens and from monochrome to colored. Now, the enormous power of TV is seen every day through the powerful images you see that go to transform lives. Now, here's a news desk report on the evolution of television as we mark World TV Day.
Television was not invented by a single inventor. Rather, it was through the effort of many people working together and alone over the years that contributed to the evolution of technology. At the dawn of television history, there were two competing experimental approaches that led to the breakthroughs that made the technology possible. Early inventors attempted to either build a mechanical television system based on the technology of Paul Nichols' rotating discs, or they tried to build an electronic television system using a cathode ray tube developed independently in 1907 by English inventor A.A. The Russian scientist and inventor Konstantin Perskin is credited with coining the word television in 1900. The prefix tele, meaning at a distance, combined with the root vision, perfectly describe what he and several other inventors had created, a way to mechanically transmit and project images. The next 2 decades brought iteration after iteration of this groundbreaking technology. By 1928, the world's first television station launched in New York. Electronic TV quickly took over mechanical methods, and by the late 1930s, live broadcast had become a reality. Since those early years, the word television has applied to the entire invention, the transmission medium, the program to be viewed, and the projecting viewing device. For example, someone is just as likely to say they are going to buy a TV, referring to it as a device, as they are to say they are going to watch TV, referring to a broadcast program. The first commercial TVs are displayed at the World Fair in 1939. While available to consumers, these early television sets are definitely not affordable. A TV could cost up to a third of the average household yearly income. Radio broadcasters CBS, NBC also begin to change their studios to adjust to the new format. Following the World War II, the US saw a boom in cheaper television production. The average American household can finally afford a TV. The ubiquity of television and an influx of engaging, critically acclaimed programming earns this decade the moniker the golden age of television. Advertisers begin marketing products directly to consumers through TV program sponsorship opportunities. Example, soap operas sponsored by cleaning products directed at women watching TV during the day. Social changes, Kennedy assassination, space race, Vietnam War help drive more families to get their news through TV in instances where they might have previously turned to newspapers. Between the 1950s and 1960s, the television becomes a must-have electronic for households, much like an essential piece of furniture. Watching television as a family becomes a nightly ritual for much of America. In 1976, Ted Turner launches the first basic cable network, TBS. He asks Howard Hubble to set up a cable network from a satellite feed so he can watch the Braves from the Massachusetts. The last black and white TV is manufactured in 1978, making color TVs the only purchasable option in the market. In recent times, television have witnessed a drastic change in appearance, color, and feel. Devices are getting smarter, thinner, and more affordable, and have better resolution, among others. Broadcast technology will offer more addressable options to advertisers and will send higher definition images to households, and programming will continue to evolve to attract and retain its audiences. But as OTT or over-the-top and other online content sources continue to grow in popularity, many question how much longer a history of TV timeline will extend. The answer changes depending on what part of the definition of TV you are asking about. Televisions lately are becoming strong tools for instigating social change. Here at GH1 TV, the power of television has enabled many of news stories and programs to reach the heart of our audience. As the world marks World Television Day, we ask, how has television impacted your life, and how is society prepared to embrace the changing face of technology in the wake of the digital migration?
Meanwhile, creative consultant Mike Amon Kwafo has called on stakeholders of media houses in Ghana to regulate content churned out to its viewers. Mike Amon charges politicians to be circumspect in using television in propagating their agenda. He was speaking to Ubeiswa Hammond on GHToday.
It is all about content and the quality of content. It is not just having television, because it has ceased to be a box in a corner that we all concentrated on. Now it's moved on, it's almost like an explosion. You can watch television on your palm. Right. So now the concern should be more of content and values. Because if you cannot monitor content, if there's no clearly defined content administration in this country, that means anybody can just get up and put anything together People have access. Already we can control the internet, you know, and then it certainly means that you also don't know how to monitor the temperature of a nation. Because you don't know what the people are thinking, you don't know what they're feeding on, you don't know what kind of habits are being formed by the youth, and so on. What kind of influences are coming into their lives. Because content administration ought to be regulated. I think there's an outcry, for example, on the fact that we have an overabundance of telenovelas, for example. There is also an outcry against the politicking. Politics is very important for a country, but when it becomes something that is reduced to partisan wrangling, right, then it becomes offensive. You really have a lot of education that is going on out there, you know, through all these exciting exposures.
Well, there you have it. Well, watch your television, but be very careful the kind of content that you also entertain on TV. On that note, a quick recap of our headlines this day. Tamale is still without electricity after fire ravaged the Netco substation last night. Residents of Kasoa in the central region are apprehensive following several cases of murder recorded within the last few weeks there. And today we acknowledge the power of television with the marking of UN-backed World TV Day. And finally, Zimbabwe's former vice president, whose sacking led to last week's army takeover, urges President Robert Mugabe to resign immediately. Still to come in our bulletin. Stay tuned. And now we go live to Parliament, where Parliament has begun the debate on the content of the 2018 budget presented to the House by the Finance Minister. The debate precedes approval of the budget, which will then give the government the legal backing to expand the taxpayers' money as planned. Now, Ibrahim Al-Hassan is our parliamentary affairs correspondent and joins us more for this. But in the meantime, before we even speak to Ibrahim, let's cross over live to hear the proceedings happening in Parliament there.
Appendix 2B, Mr. Speaker, one would have thought that the budget as projected by the minister responsible for finance would have learned some lessons going forward into 2018. Mr. Speaker, you notice that 2017, the budget, the tax revenue was projected to be 16.9% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, representing 34.3 billion Ghana cedis. 2017, revised budget. Mr. Speaker, the information that the minister responsible for finance gave to this honorable house, this budget was revised downwards from 16.9% of GDP to 16.3% of GDP, representing 33 billion. Mr. Speaker, the outlook, we have been told that the 16.3% of GDP, the ministry will not be able to achieve that. So they are projecting 15.6% of GDP. The Speaker, even the 15.6% of GDP, the Speaker, I have my doubt. I have my doubt because if you look at 2017 program, from Q1 to Q3, the performance is lower than what has been projected. The Speaker, the program was 11.8% of GDP. The outturn so far is 11.0%. So you could see that we have seen a shortfall approximately 0.8% of GDP. So how can we achieve 15.6% of GDP? So Speaker, I beg to submit that I doubt that 15.6% will be able to achieve. So Speaker, to conclude, finally, Mr. Speaker, again, I would have thought that the minister would have learned from the previous experience. To speak, unfortunately, the budget has been revised. The budget has been revised to a level that we will not be able to say that. Speaker, I submit that how can a budget that has been revised, as the Speaker, on this note, the Speaker, I submit that for your indulgence, how can a statement be presented to this honorable house and for some strange reason revise a budget statement that has been delivered to this honorable house? I ask for your indulgence. Thank you.
I rise to contribute to the debate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I get into my main submission, let me debunk some of the figures you put out there. Mr. Speaker, he said the administration budget is 6.7 billion. 1.2 billion of that budget is going to the Special Development Initiatives Ministry. 100 million is going to the Ministry for Inner Cities. Honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, and honorable, I'm also grateful to you for waiting and not interrupting, but rather now proceeding that you want to embark on the path of debunking certain things according to you. That is what I expect. If you have anything else contrary to what is being said, please, you will have your turn. Honorable, you may continue.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, again, the honorable ranking member puts out a figure that the Office of Government Machinery is being allocated 1.9 billion Ghana. Mr. Speaker, if he cares to know, 1.2 billion of this amount is going to free SEA. 280 million. Honorable members.
Let's now speak to Ibrahim Al-Hassan. He's our parliamentary correspondent, also live in Parliament to witness these proceedings taking place. Ibrahim, good day and thank you for joining us. Now, we've just been live in Parliament and we see that indeed proceedings are underway. There is a debate with regards to the budget 2018. What more can you tell us?
Well, the debate was kickstarted by Minister of State in charge of planning, Professor Jambafo, who mentioned that for the first time in the history of Ghana, this budget is linked to tangible plans. So any allocation that has been made in the 2018 budget is going for a specific purpose, linked with a plan. And once the plan is executed and executed properly, then there will be maximum result and for that matter, maximum impact. He also went ahead to mention sector by sector and how government intends to transform the nation. So, for instance, it talks about formalizing the informal sector, and that's what the digital address system is aimed at. And that's how come all the IT systems that are being rolled out by this administration are intended at also robbing in people who hitherto had not been paying taxes. And there's also a bit about human security and safety. The government intends investing heavily in this regard to ensure that Ghanaians are not just safe, but they also are able to go about their duties without any worry. Then in came the minority spokesperson on finance, Atoforsen, who started by saying, per the presentation of the Minister of State in charge of planning, he can infer that the 2018 budget is nothing but empty. Then he went further to state that in this year's budget, I'm talking about the 2017 budget, government engaged in illegality, and its explanation is that there was a review of the 2017 budget without recourse to Parliament, and this, he explains that sometime this year, the Finance Minister was in Parliament to present the mid-year budget review. Instead of doing it in the form of a motion, so Parliament as a whole can debate and approve, he rather opted to present the mid-year review in the form of a statement. And when you present a statement on the floor of Parliament, it's not subject to a debate, and for that matter, Parliament cannot approve. So he's basing on this to argue that this budget will be withdrawn until the right thing is done. And the right thing is that the media review budget that was presented, which according to him was not approved by Parliament, and government went ahead to implement it anyway, must be brought back to Parliament for the approval to be given before the 2018 budget is equally debated and approved. Nonetheless, he went further to punch holes into the 2018 budget. So, for instance, the Finance Minister's announcement that over 100,000 graduates will be engaged to be, spread across all the districts in the nation for them to execute specific tasks. It mentions that the budgetary allocation for that particular program will mean that each graduate, when engaged, will take home less than 500 cedis. So he was wondering whether there's an extension of the National Service Scheme, which obviously once you are a graduate, then you should have gone through the National Service. He's asking as whether 500 monthly payments to these graduates will be enough for them to survive. So these are the questions that I have been asking.
Ibrahim?
Yes.
If you can hear me, I understand that the minority leader is on the floor right now in Parliament, so we quickly want to go live there and hear what he has to say.
All right.
You yield the floor to the Honorable Chairman of the Finance Committee. So for the record, he is on. So, Mr. Speaker, it will be difficult identifying the person unless he owns up himself, which may be difficult for you because you didn't recognize the person. So you may as well, Mr. Speaker, just ignore it that it didn't happen. And then we take it. Honorable Majority Speaker, the rules of this House provide that you are indeed in charge of the observance of order in the House. Speaker, if any member misconducts himself, the law allows you to call on the member to withdraw immediately from the House. Speaker, the fact that when you called on the person who allegedly made the statement has refused to own up, it means that the person does not have courage to own up to what that person had said. I honestly, because I was engaged with my colleagues here, didn't hear exactly what transpired or was transmitted. In the second instance, Mr. Speaker, I will plead that you allow the House to take a cue from what seriousness that you want us to engage ourselves in a debate related to the budget, and from now on to behave accordingly. May I, in the circumstance, join ranks with the minority leader to pray that you allow for the continuation of the debate, which is getting very interesting. Speaker, I only urge that we ask that the noise levels be reduced so that we can hear one another as contributions are made. Thank you very much.
Well, Ibrahim, we've just witnessed the minority leader speaking, and also majority leader, responding. Do you mind just enlightening us and telling us exactly what they were saying? Okay, I believe we must have lost Ibrahim there during that live in Parliament. But however, what you witnessed, there are proceedings currently underway in Parliament where the budget 2018 is being debated. You've seen just shortly before we got off the feed that the minority leader was the first person to speak when we saw that. And the majority leader responded in that the speaker himself is in charge of the proceedings, and we will be giving you updates as to how the events unfolded. Do stay tuned in later on in our bulletin. Now, moving along to the rest of our stories, a major headache for parents these days is the difficulty in finding jobs for their children after spending a lot in educating them from basic through to tertiary level. Graduate unemployment rate has become so alarming that even tertiary students are beginning to lose faith in their certificates. In this report, Nabil Ahmed Rufai highlights the issues bothering graduate unemployment and tells us the story of a 24-year-old who is juggling and struggling from university education and entrepreneurship for fear of being jobless after school.
Education is touted as the key to success. Growing up, that success translated to escaping the scourge of poverty. Most parents of all social status therefore did not hesitate to provide education for their children, sometimes incentivized by the end game of a bumper harvest, when these children are gainfully employed. Today, the story has taken a different turn. The increasing rate of unemployment in Ghana, especially among tertiary graduates, has reached a critical point, begging for a solution. Every year, over 70,000 students graduate from tertiary institutions, out of which about 5,000 gain employment after national service, according to figures from the Ghana Graduate Business Support Scheme. As a result of this, the country has witnessed a series of picketing by graduates at the Ministries of Health and Education in demand for jobs. These are students who are considered to have taken practical courses. The situation is even grimmer for students of taught courses. Agbile Sichofa is a final year political science student at the University of Ghana, trying hard to escape the torture of graduate unemployment. Sensing the frustrations of the future, he sold his most prized possession, his iPhone, to buy himself a professional camera to start a business. He was 22 years at the time. The photography industry in Ghana is a thriving one, as people now rely on the services of professional photographers to capture their memorable locations such as weddings. As time-intensive as it is, Agbile would rather miss a lecture than a gig. He tells me it is all worth it. Although government's policy captured in the 2018 budget will seek to give tax rebates to young entrepreneurs below 35 like Agbile, he thinks more needs to be done to encourage tertiary students to engage in the do-it-yourself model of gaining employment. In Ghana, successive governments have introduced several policies in a bid to tackle the unemployment situation, albeit not squarely. These are the steps towards tackling the unemployment situation in Ghana as captured in the 2018 budget. Now, 500,000 farmers are targeted and 2,700 extension agents to be recruited to support the Planting for Food and Jobs program. Also, over 57,000 enrollment on the Youth Employment Agency models. Now, the ministry is also to collaborate with stakeholders to develop specific programs and projects in the areas of agribusiness, green jobs, industrial parks, ICT, apprenticeship and skills. Now, these interventions are expected to generate 65,000 job opportunities for the youth. Now, there's also going to be the creation of a Nation Builders Corps to employ 100,000 graduates. The policies captured in the 2018 budget, which seek to reduce unemployment among the youth, however, does not capture the creative arts sector. The Unemployment Graduates Association believes investments in the creative arts could be the remedy for rising joblessness.
Listening to the budget also, we didn't hear anything about the creative arts. We didn't hear anything about the entertainment industry. We didn't see anything or hear anything concerning the tourism aspect of the employment creation sector. These are also avenues that the government can pump resources into. We are pleading on the government and we are saying that the government should work hard to make sure that the unemployment situation is solved, because it's so much of a pressure for the youth, it's so much of a pressure for the teachers, it's so much of a pressure for everyone.
For now, it remains to be seen whether President Akufo-Addo's medium-term development programs aimed at providing opportunities for growth and job creation will yield the desired results of controlling the increasing rate of unemployment in Ghana. Nabil Ahmed Rufai, GH1 News.
Residents of Kasoa in the central region are apprehensive following increasing spate of murder cases recorded within the last few weeks in the area. The area has recorded at least one killing in each week in the last 3 weeks. The police service beefed up security around Kasoa after a driver's mate was allegedly murdered by land guards. 2 more mysterious murders have been recorded after this. Now, my colleague Evans Nkum has been in the area and now joins us live on the phone line for more details. Evans Nkum, if you can hear me,
yes,
what are the developments happening in the area of Kasoa?
Well, Lerato, can tell you that the residents of Kasua now live in a state of fear, and they are saying that they want government or the security agencies to improve visibility. I'm talking about police visibility in the area. In fact, as you rightly mentioned, I mean, within a space of 1 month, there has been some deaths as far as the people living within this enclave is concerned. Some have been attributed to landlord brutalities and all that. And this particular one, or I'm talking about the one that happened somewhere on Saturday, the victim had some of her body dismembered, and that has actually sent some level of shivers down the spine of the community members, and that is why they want police visibility, heavily kind of they want to see a heavy police presence in the town in order to curb the current development. Lerato.
I understand that even 2 weeks ago, they did send the SWAT team from Accra down to Kasua. What does this depict about the security and the police situation in Kasua? Does this mean Kasua does not have enough security or protection?
Well, from what I deduce from these community members, they are saying that, yes, indeed, the police are here, but the numbers are not enough to actually contain these areas where which have been witnessing these kind of sporadic killings. And for that matter, they need an increased number of visibility as far as the police administration and their deployment to this particular area is concerned. So yes, the police are here, but their numbers to the residents is not enough.
Now, before I let you go, Evans, I understand that there's intervention with the police presence and also forth. This, by the way, is a temporary solution. But are there any talks or discussions on some sort of intervention in what is happening in Kasua? Because certainly, I mean, the alarm is that there is definitely something wrong. Residents are not safe in Kasua. What is being done about it?
Well, so I'm hearing that the municipal chief executive has been giving some level of assurances. You know, he is also the chairman of MUSEC, of the Municipal Security Council, and he has been telling them not to worry because the security agencies are on top of the issue or on top of the situation. But the bigger question is that to what end? I mean, they are looking for solutions. They are looking for an area that is devoid of these tensions, that is devoid of these sporadic killings. They want to wake up each morning to see a very conducive and habitable area. That is what the residents are talking about. So it's not a matter of word of mouth or assurances, but they want to see realities happening as far as Kasua and its environs are concerned.
Thank you very much, Evans, for that update. That is Evans Nkum joining us, who's giving us an update on Kasua there. Every Ghanaian, every national, every human being has a right to live in a safe environment. We have to do something about the situation in Kasua. Talking about human rights, now imagine living in a world where no one understands your emotions because you cannot speak. You are equally forced to accept whatever is handed to you because you cannot express yourself in any form. Now, such is the case of 24-year-old physically and supposedly mentally challenged Wanda at Shaiman in Accra. He spends most of his time locked up with dogs being kept by his parents. Now, the price he has to pay for being struck by an unknown condition. Ellis Ayete brings us more on the story.
Without pants or diapers, 24-year-old Wanda crawls like a baby in this enclosed area with his parents' dogs. Named Wanda, his condition is very puzzling to his poor parents. His mother says he got missing for 3 whole days right after birth before he was brought to her. Left alone most often to do his own thing, he gets stained with dirt and sometimes by his own feces mingled with waste products from the dogs. Wanda cannot walk, talk or do anything for himself and so he cannot communicate when he feels the urge to ease himself or urinate. At 24, his mother is too poor to furnish him with diapers to at least keep him clean. The inability to do anything for himself means he is heavily dependent on his 50-year-old mother, who is also jobless. Wonda's mother, Mama Kos, tells me they have no clue what condition their son is suffering from, since he has been like this since infancy.
They didn't tell me nothing that this is the reason why my son is like this or like this. They didn't tell me nothing.
So up till now, 24 years, you don't know what is wrong with him?
I didn't know what. Just ask me my experience or whatever. Yeah, I just told myself that maybe the injection because it takes many injections. So I just think that maybe the many injection or the too much of the injection, maybe it didn't let me remain for Floyd when it cannot.
Their poverty has prevented them from seeking answers and perhaps getting him help.
He can't eat, he can't do nothing. Even sometimes if you go to toilet, but for all his body.
At the time of our visit at around 10:30 in the morning, his mother had just returned from church to serve him breakfast. After being fed his breakfast, he had to be put on this old trunk to be bathed, but that was not done easily, as his mother had to struggle, turning him around to clean his whole body. When asked why Wanda is left all alone and sometimes locked up here in this space with the ducks, his mother explained it is to save him from being discriminated against. She also says she keeps her son with the ducks when going out to prevent him from wandering around and getting lost.
The reason why, when you opened the door before you came, she went out. Some people think that maybe he's not a human being or whatever. I would say, the last time ago, I was sleepy because I slept with the other side, them to the brothers that sleep for here. I was in the room, don't tell around 4:30, someone can come that I should come and see my son was going. Before I realized, he reached, 22.
Just like many other persons with disability, Wanda's rights are clearly being violated. A 24-year-old forced to live with ducks. Wanda's mother might have an explanation for her action, but is it sound, and does it excuse the fact that her son's rights are being trampled on?
The only help I need, either I'll get wheel, but I need the wheel that you can fit stand on it. Whether if I get the wheel that you get leg, or they'll put tie under. Because of if there's no one in the house, it can feel. He himself can feel go around. Because he was sitting on the floor for long, so the bones are they are grown, they are locked. So I want him to stretch the leg. Maybe if we get the wheel to say after, if they can give him, put him something to stretch the leg, so that he can feel manage himself for work or whatever, and that's what I want.
Majority of persons with disabilities like Wanda still face various forms of discrimination and are more likely to live in poverty because of their inability to assert their rights. There are always unseen barriers inhibiting their inclusion into mainstream society. Alice Aite, GH1 News.
Time now to have a look at the part series, Portraits of a Countryside. Well, today on Portrait of the Countryside, we have a look at a village in the Gushegu district of the northern Ghana, where it may seem as if it's a laughable joke in some parts of the world to tell someone to climb a tree if they are experiencing network problems while communicating in their mobile phones. Now, this remote village in Gushegu district of northern Ghana, that would not sound funny to anyone at all, because under a tree or on top of it is the only way to find mobile network. Now, let's look at a following report compiled by Ridwan Karim Deni Osman.
Several kilometers away from the northern regional capital Tamale lies Belasinga, a very remote village in the Gushegu district. Belasinga is not only cut off but also deprived, as all basic amenities like water, electricity, toilet facilities are non-existent. In the heart of this community stands a tree highly revered by residents. You dare not attempt bringing it down. This tree is supposedly crucial if residents would want to get in touch with the outside world.
The option that we have is to struggle the other angle, is either by taking the tree, or we position ourselves in a situation that you can make a call, you easily make a call. But some other times when you make a call, you have to be at one point, because if you move a next step, it means that you are going to lose the call that you are doing.
Like many other remote villages in the northern region of Ghana, getting communication network signals in Belasinga has become a case of chance, if not impossible. However, this has not discouraged the locals from getting their individual mobile phones, regardless of the brand. It is 3 in the afternoon, a period residents say the network hardly fails under the tree. They emerge from different corners of the village, indicating that a search for network signals has indeed begun. After failed attempt to get connected on the ground, residents identify strategic spots where they use the tree branches to tie their phones with the hope of stabilizing and capturing the network. After this, all one needs are patience and optimism.
Hello? Hello?
While all this is going on, some have already secured seats on top of the tree. Belasinga gets talking here.
Hello? Hello?
How will you call? Uti swana, uti sayana, uti say, just a waba, and I have a corner. Monfo baby, or mufo, just one mudia bay, mudia bay, Adriana Susuru. You say, and yes, I call bound to me a corner, and intina. Phones in the doors.
This is a daily exercise that is not always smooth sailing. Sometimes they go home with bruises or a fracture. But sometimes too, impatience coupled with desperation sets in, and these residents take their pursuit to another level by trekking nearly 8 kilometers to other areas where the network signals are quite stable. But even there, not everyone is lucky.
If you want to communicate to other places, in other maybe people, you have links to other places. Maybe, but if you realize that where you are, you have no network, you cannot do anything, you will be forced to move to that place, to a place that you think you can get a network. So we are appealing to the institutions, especially government, to come to our aid. Networkers and other things, they should come and help our people out of that thing.
According to residents, many people, including pregnant women, have died while giving birth at the hands of traditional birth attendants when that one phone call could not get through to the nearest ambulance service provider. Residents here don't have a toilet facility. They don't have electricity. In fact, they don't even have a source of potable water. But these are the least of the concerns they have. What they want is to be able to make that important phone call in times of emergency. Ghana's telecommunication journey has been quite progressive. However, successive governments have over the years paid lip service to digital inclusion in unserved and underserved communities in the country, a situation that continues to widen the already yawning inequality gap between those in rural and urban areas. Back in the national capital, Accra, we sought some answers from the Communication Ministry.
We are now looking for the funding to be able to do that. With the IMF stuff going on currently, it makes it difficult to get credit to be able to expand connectivity. But we are considering other arrangements, and I know that before long, within the next couple of months, those conversations should crystallize, and we should start rolling out an integrated network across the country, government-led, by the middle of next year, hopefully.
The total cellular and mobile voice subscriber base in Ghana as of April 2013 was 26,591,124. MTN Ghana has the largest market share, and they explain what has accounted for the challenges.
The signal is not found on trees, first of all. The signal is supposed to be concentrated in a particular location at any point in time to serve the people. From what you're describing, it appears that they're going chasing signal that is not supposed to be to cover them. So once the list comes up from GIFEC as a locality that needs to be covered, like we indicated earlier, we'll look at the requirements and what it takes to give proper coverage in that locality, and that will happen. What we can do from our end is to look at what actually is happening technically on the ground and see how we can help optimize the network to be able to give them some form of network until the permanent solution is acquired. But we still have to work together with GIFEC to be able to give them proper coverage.
The UN Sustainable Development Goal 9 focuses on building resilient infrastructure and fostering innovation, particularly through increasing access to ICT. Achieving this target by 2030 in Ghana will require a more holistic and inclusive approach in dealing with challenges in areas like Belesinya. Reporting for GH1 News, my name is Ridwan Karim Dini Osman.
Very interesting story indeed, and like the communications minister said, talks are currently underway to make sure that all of us would have access to ICTs. Very pivotal and very critical to the development of humanity in Ghana. So we really need to be working on that. Time now to go for a short break. Domo will be back with some more in our bulletin.
From music to movies, stage plays, dance, award shows, to the good, the bad, and the ugly in the entertainment industry.
Good evening, GH. Welcome to GH1 TV. Name is George Quay. You can call me GK. Of course, this is the